Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to the new series I'm doing. It's called I Wonder. And today I am wondering about why SpongeBob is so happy all the time. Like every single episode, you'll see him, and he's always just over there annoying Squidward or working a 9 to 5 in the Krusty Krab, hanging out karate chopping with Sandy, jellyfishing Patrick, and he has such a boring life. You don't understand how boring this fool's life is before you actually start watching the show. He is a scaredy cat. He doesn't do anything for himself, and he's a pushover. So, I mean, welcome to episode one. This is episode one. Why SpongeBob is happy? I don't know why he's happy. That's the question of the entire episode. Obviously, before we begin the episode, just please subscribe. It can boost my already inflated ego. And you know what? It would give me the courage to continue this series. And you know what? The courage. I need it. I need it. And you know what? You could give it to me. So just march down. March wherever you are. Hit the subscribe button and go back to the video. Even check out some of my edits, some of my versus edits. I also post on TikTok. So I mean, please. Okay, guys, so now, of course, we're going to start the video, because I think I've held you guys for too long on why I've been calling SpongeBob a wimp and a pushover and just the worst person possible to be a main character. Like, if anything, I think Patrick or Squidward or even Mr. Krabs should be a main character, or even Plankton, because they have this personality about them. I would watch a Plankton TV show. I know Patrick got one, so why not Plankton? Why not Squidward? Squidward is probably one of the best characters that is still in SpongeBob, and I mean, that's not really that big of a, challenge, considering SpongeBob kind of fell off, and sadly it has. Rest in peace, SpongeBob. Rest in peace, not SpongeBob. Because the only characters we probably miss are Squidward, Mr. Krabs, and Plankton. Because Patrick just started screaming at everybody, and SpongeBob, can't even get started on SpongeBob, man. He is probably the most annoying little yellow creature that you could ever ask for. Every single day, he's annoying Squidward, whether it be at work or just in stores or like even in his own house. He breaks in. He's a criminal. He's breaking into Squidward's house without his permission, and then we're just supposed to be like, yeah, Squidward deserves it because he's kind of rude. Who are we? What are we even doing at this point? But before, we talk about SpongeBob and Squidward, let's talk about SpongeBob and Patrick, the biggest dynamic in the show. Probably also the biggest friendship, and just the most popular people on the show. You got SpongeBob, who is a cheerful, happy-go-lucky guy, you know, is very unlucky in life. He got held, he hit with the small hand, like with the little straw, you know. And I don't mean that in a weird way. But he also, sucks at driving, is annoying, a nuisance to everybody he knows, and is just a pretty good fry cook. But then you got Patrick, who isn't as annoying, but is also still annoying. And he's a deadbeat who is actually the Discord moderator. The people who live under rocks don't go touch any grass, which I guess there's not a lot of grass to touch since they're at the bottom of the ocean. It's sand. And he doesn't have a job, so apart from the times where he will, employ himself at the Krusty Krab, because for some reason Mr. Krabs just likes how the attention brings, like in this one episode that we're about to talk about, where Mr. Krabs hires Patrick for a very specific task. In No Hat for Pat, Patrick is mad that his friends have jobs and are actually living a stable life. So he decides, let's just get a job at the place where the person that hates me the most and my best friend works. So he got a job as a sign holder because he got this cool hat. Well, when he puts on the hat, he falls over. And the residents of Bikini Bottom think this is so hilarious. Enough to where they'll pay to watch him fall over and injure himself without even knowing that he's injuring himself. To Patrick, this is a little joke. He's like, "Oh, this is so funny. I'm getting tons of friends, and I get to hang out and work with my buddies." But to Mr. Krabs, and obviously this isn't about SpongeBob, but to Mr. Krabs, this is about moolah. This is about the money. This is about everything that has to do about getting rich, and nothing about Patrick's well-being. And what does SpongeBob do? He cares. Sure, he does care. But does he stop it? No, he doesn't stop it. He kind of lets it happen. He gives him a little pep talk, but I mean that's the extent of it. And then the episode finally ends when they realize the pain that Patrick is going through. Even though apparently they didn't realize it when he was just falling over for like 30 minutes, or in the SpongeBob episode case, it was about like 7 minutes because there's 2 episodes per episode for some reason. And Mr. Krabs, gets beat up, deserved. But this just shows that SpongeBob is a pushover when it comes to just about anything. And this will bring us to another episode we're about to talk about, which, may show you my side of things. In the episode, The Abrasive Side, as you may know, SpongeBob, he gets an abrasive side. And he just, is mean to everybody for almost the entire episode. The episode starts with Patrick and SpongeBob waiting to go to Glove World. But every single one of SpongeBob's friends, like Mr. Crab, Sandy, and just tons of people who don't care about him, are asking him to do stuff for them. And SpongeBob keeps on moving back in line, keeps on missing the bus, and finally, the bus comes, and Patrick is gone. He's on the bus. And SpongeBob misses the bus. It's just disgusting. It's actually horrible what happens to SpongeBob. So he decides, I can't believe I missed Glove World. And then Gary pulls up. He's like, hey. He's like, hey. You should get this abrasive side. For some reason, something that makes you really mean towards people and almost sporadic, like you have bipolar disorder, is just in the newspaper to have. Like just to have. Don't ask me any questions about it. I know nothing. I didn't write this episode. But anyways, he gets the abrasive side. And then, it ends up on his back, which it's a funny little gag because, it just turns him into a normal sponge that you would use to clean objects with, like the green fuzz stuff on top of him, or like on the one side of him. And it is funny because, you're like, oh my gosh, well, I use that to clean my plates in my forks. Unless you're just one of those people who use a dishwasher. So, anyways, he then goes around just bullying people. He bullies his friend, Patrick. He bullies Squidward, which isn't even deserved, by the way. He just bullies everybody until, finally, he goes to Sandy for help, and she just rips it off of him. Like, his skin got ripped off, even though he's a sponge. It was all red. And that episode, when I was little, was like, and that wasn't even the worst episode, but it definitely gave me a few thoughts. It definitely gave me a few thoughts. Like how do sponges have skin? I would understand Patrick, because, even though in the SpongeBob universe, Patrick or Patrick does have skin, but in the wild, sea stars don't have skin. Or at least I don't think they do, because I'm not one of the ocean people. Anyways, they finally get off of him, and after they get off of him, they like ship it away, and then at the end of the episode, spoiler alert, if you haven't watched like this 11-year-old episode, but when they get off of him, it ends up going to his grandma's house, his Meemaw's house, his grandmother. It ends up going to her house, and he goes to her house, and he's like, "Oh my gosh, I love you." But then the episode ends with her ending up having an abrasive side, and okay, how I said about how SpongeBob having skin and not getting ripped off kind of gave me the ick as a child? Yeah, this gave me the spooks. And as a person who is scared of the graveyard shift, this was bad. This wasn't worse than the graveyard shift, but it was definitely bad. And the only time this is the only episode where SpongeBob isn't a pushover. And you know what? Let's just give another representation of when SpongeBob is just getting absolutely pushed over by people. And it's another example on how he actually fights back. And don't worry, we'll get to the hating soon. But I just needed a few examples to show you, and we'll have a few more. But we're gonna go to the next part now. Okay. Okay. See you guys later. In the episode "Can You Spare a Dime," SpongeBob, Squidward, Mr. Krabs are in the Krusty Krab when Mr. Krabs freaks out because he lost his very first dime. And that's why the episode is called "Can You Spare a Dime?" Anyways, so he obviously blames Squidward like the normal person that he is. And before I just start talking about this episode, I want to talk about how absolutely ragged Squidward gets. He gets absolutely mauled every single episode that he's in. And it's just awful to watch. And the one time when he actually has happiness, or for a while when he actually has happiness, they just take it, the showrunners take it away from him before he can even have it. He's just miserable throughout the entire show. And it went from being kind of funny, but not really, to being just annoying to watch. And, because, I gotta stand up for my boy Squidward, Anyways, let's go back to the episode now. Anyways, and Can You Spare a Dime? He blames Squidward. Squidward says, "Hey, no, I don't have it." And then, finally, it going to the point where Squidward just leaves. He's gone. He quits his job. He's like, "I don't need this place anymore." And then, cuts later, he's homeless. He's gone. He's homeless. And, he had to sell a lot of stuff, and he's just in a box. And it's a meme. It was a meme, which is also, I feel bad for him, but also it's a kid's show, so I don't. It's just kind of funny that it turned into a meme. That this kind of mid-episode had a pretty big impact on me. And, like, the internet as a whole. But anyways, so SpongeBob sees Squidward, and he's like, "Hey, Squidward, hey, what's up?" And Squidward's like, "I need help. You need to help me." And then SpongeBob's like, "Okay, I guess I'll help you." And that's when they cut to SpongeBob's house. And Squidward Squidward asks, and he's like, "Oh, I don't want to be a burden," but he instantly starts becoming a burden. He instantly starts becoming a burden to SpongeBob. SpongeBob will walk up the stairs, And then he'll be like, "Oh, what do you need? Anything?" And Squidward's like, "No." He'll go halfway across the stairs, and be like, "SpongeBob, SpongeBob, I need your help. I need your help, SpongeBob." He went from being a capable human being to just being a bum. And just to see how fast he changes, even though it's just SpongeBob and it's funny to see SpongeBob suffer because he makes Squidward suffer every other episode is just amazing but also kind of weird to see. And you're probably like, "Oh yeah, but SpongeBob, he's the main character. He's my favorite one." And to that I say, you're stupid if you think that. Anyways, I can't make fun of you guys. I can't make fun of you guys. Let's get back to what I was talking about. I'm going off track on this episode. I really enjoyed this episode. This episode thoroughly. And then for some reasons, I guess Squidward has like a kink or something, but he makes SpongeBob wear this maid outfit, and he just like SpongeBob will bring him soup, and he's like, I don't like the letters. And he's like, bring him lemonade, be like, I asked for like ice or something. And then finally, and SpongeBob made him like, he's like, I want to watch a different channel. So SpongeBob used hand puppets, and then he was like, oh, maybe you should get a job through the episode. And Squidward's like, oh, I don't like this channel. And then finally, SpongeBob goes absolutely crazy on him. Like he's not annoying in this scene. He's just angered. He's just mad. He's rage induced right now. He's filled. He's filled to the brim. He's filled to the brink. And he marches back to the Krusty Krab and shakes, and he strangles Mr. Krabs, by the way. He commits a crime. He walks right into his employer's office, commits a crime, and even though he allowed Squidward to be in his house, by the way, this isn't even, he allowed him to be in his house. It wasn't a thing where he was like, oh, Squidward, you can't come to my house, and Squidward just broke in. He let him stay. He could have just kicked him out, and he could have been like, get out of my house. Which I get he wanted to do, but he didn't end up doing, because he's a pushover. And he lets people step right on him. And the only time he isn't getting pushed over, he is just being annoying. And after he shakes and strangles Mr. Krabs, Mr. Krabs drops the dime. It's a giant dime. That's why it's kind of hilarious. It's kind of funny. You probably laughed at that, didn't you? Yeah. Anyways, then everything comes back to normal. Squidward gets rehired, and then another stupid thing happens. He's like, Mr. Squidward, and then yeah, SpongeBob puts it back on the maid outfit, and the episode's done. So I know I've been talking a lot about these two's relationship, like his relationship with his friends, but let's talk about an episode where SpongeBob is just over the brink annoying. An episode that infuriated me to my core. Something that made me wanna die. Anyways, guys, I see you by the next cut. Okay. See you later. In Squid's Day Off, the episode starts with Squidward and SpongeBob just working like they should be doing almost every single episode. But when the episode starts, they stop working all the time. And the cash register, flings open, and it's SpongeBob's fault. And all the coins fall on the ground. Squidward tries to scoop them up. Mr. Krabs, absolutely bodies him. And one of the coins falls into the drain, where Mr. Krabs tries to pull it out, but his claw gets stuck. He asks SpongeBob to help him. SpongeBob tries to help him. SpongeBob, and again, even though it was accidental, he commits a crime. Mr. Krabs' arm rips off, and he goes flailing back, and then he's in the hospital. He's in the hospital now. And he leaves Squidward in charge, obviously, because who in their right mind would leave SpongeBob in charge of anything? Am I right? So Squidward decides that he's going to go on a break too and leave SpongeBob in charge of the Krusty Krab. That was a pretty good idea of him, because he needs a break sometimes too, right? And so he goes home, but then he has a thing where he has SpongeBob like giving up probably like just a lot of money to Patrick, and it bankrupts the Krusty Krab, and it's all his fault. And so he runs back. SpongeBob's like, "Oh, have you finished those errands?" And then, Squidward's like, "No." He runs back, and he's like, "Oh, I'm just going crazy." And then he does that a few times. He even has a thing where SpongeBob is in his bathtub, which is kind of weird, but okay. And then finally he's like, "Okay, I'm just crazy. I'm just crazy." So locks his house. He goes absolutely insane. And then, or I was mistaken. The bathtub thing happens last. And then he follows SpongeBob down a drainage pipe, and then he comes back to Krusty Krab, and he's like, "I finally caught you." And SpongeBob's like, "Oh, I haven't done anything. Have you finished those errands yet?" And he's like, "Yeah, SpongeBob, I finished those errands." SpongeBob was probably his almost at his most annoying this episode, mainly because of just how you could see how he affects Squidward's well-being. Like, instead of having just a normal off day, he just ruins his day with, like, even though he doesn't even mean to, and that's how mentally scarring SpongeBob is. But anyways, after that, SpongeBob gives him, like, his pants for some reason. Because, obviously he had the bubbles, and the bubbles were disappearing. Get it? Because he was in the bathtub, and he was using bubbles, and now finally, after probably running a few miles, he's at the Krusty Krab. Which, by the way, you almost never see Squidward in a car. You never see Squidward in a car going to the Krusty Krab. Are we just expecting them to walk like a few miles? Okay, well that's not what this episode is about. It's about SpongeBob being annoying. Anyways, so SpongeBob's finally like, "Oh, Squidward, would you look at that? The sign was closed the entire time. We could have just had an off day." And then the episode ends with Squidward just laughing. And that's it. So if you want a more accurate representation of how SpongeBob is probably one of the most annoying characters, you can go to that episode. You can even go to a few more. But you know what? I think I've been ragging on SpongeBob for a while. We're going just over almost the 20-minute mark. So I think I should finally talk about why one of the single things where SpongeBob actually does the right thing. And funny enough, he goes against Mr. Krabs in this episode. It is one of the most hated episodes, but I love it so much because Plankton wins. And that is the best part of the episode. You're probably asking yourself, what episode does Plankton win? And I kind of misspoke. Plankton doesn't fully really take a W, but in the end, he doesn't really take a full L either. Because you never see this brought up again in the entire show. Anyways, the episode is One Course Meal. If you don't know what it is, I'm about to explain it to you, so don't go looking it up. But One Course Meal is a SpongeBob episode where Plankton is about to steal the secret formula, and then Pearl barges in, and Plankton's like, "Oh, well," and he runs away. If you don't already know what the episode I'm talking about, then I might be not explaining it well enough, or you just don't know the episode. which, you may be happy to not know this episode, because this is a very, very hated episode of the show, just because of how crazy it is. Anyways, Plankton sits at home and he's like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe Mr. Krabs' daughter is a whale." And then Mr. Krabs decides that he's going to scare Plankton by himself. He decides he's going to dress up as a whale, and he is going to torture Plankton, basically, to the point where Plankton starts having nightmares, and he even tries to commit suicide. Yeah, it's crazy. And SpongeBob tries, and I will give him the benefit of the doubt. He did try to help Plankton here, and he did end up helping him to an extent. As much of a douche Mr. Krabs is, this episode is the embodiment of everything wrong with Mr. Krabs and even SpongeBob. So SpongeBob's like, "Oh, Mr. Krabs, he wants to die." And Mr. Krabs is just like, "Yeah, but he's look at how much of a mess he is. He hasn't even tried to steal the secret formula from me." And then finally, SpongeBob tells Plankton Mr. Krabs' fear, which is apparently mimes. Which is kind of funny, because mimes aren't scary to almost anybody, unless you're kind of weird. The only thing that's closest to mimes that isn't even relatively scary is killer clowns. And, I mean, killer clowns are only scary if you know, make them scary. But anyways, after tons of torture to Plankton, he finally gets Mr. Krabs. He scares him with the mimes. And then he tries to, steal the secret formula because it's just an easy win, because he thinks SpongeBob is fully on his side. And SpongeBob's like, "No, no." And this is why SpongeBob is kind of a pushover, because at this point, let the douche get what the douche needs. Mr. Krabs has been tormenting Plankton almost to the edge of death, and you decide that you're still going to be his worker? I understand this from Squidward, because he doesn't care about a lot of people in Bikini Bottom. But SpongeBob? Apparently he can't realize when somebody's in the wrong. And even if he probably did realize it, he doesn't want somebody to be mad at him that's not Plankton. Because Plankton's mad at a lot of people. Even though SpongeBob is oblivious to the fact that Plankton doesn't like him, and Plankton even started liking SpongeBob during this episode because he was helping him. And SpongeBob went from being a pretty good friend in this episode and helping Mr. Krabs get his comeuppance to just scaring Plankton again, to the point where if this was like a movie, a mature movie, he might have actually just did it. He might have actually just laid in the road. And SpongeBob just not letting Plankton win here is the main reason why I don't like him as a main character. But, okay, I think I've talked enough about SpongeBob and him being annoying, so I'm going to go to the end now. We're going to cut to the end, and, say to my future self, maybe 5 minutes from now, "Okay, take it away." Thank you, me from 5 minutes ago. SpongeBob is a big part of my childhood. And I can see why they actually added all these problems to him. Like the fact that he's a pushover, he's annoying. Because if you have a perfect character, then you have no ideas. If you have no ideas, you have no episodes. If you have no episodes, you got no show. And that's why everybody in Bikini Bottom has problems. Like Squidward, he's incredibly artistic, not autistic. But he's just a moody guy. SpongeBob is very happy, but he goes over the top sometimes, and he's a pushover. Patrick is also a very happy guy. He's a cheerful individual, but he's also very stupid. Sandy is too smart for her own good, too prideful, basically an American. And I can say that because I'm American. Um, and Mr. Krabs, he's too greedy, but he does care about his daughter. He cares about her to an extent where even if SpongeBob spends a lot of money, Mr. Krabs cares about is that his daughter just loves him. And that is that's the best part of this show. I mean, everybody in the show has problems, and I only made this episode because I need to highlight when the problems sometimes go too far. And I had to point out the plot holes of some episodes. And if you want me to do this again, it was fun watching some of these episodes. And I will happily do it again. And if you want me to speak on another show, I could watch it. I've been getting into the show From recently, which if you don't know, you should probably go check it out. It's on Amazon Prime, and it's an Epix show. But anyways, I think I should finally just go and leave because I gotta like actually fully on edit this video now. Hope you guys liked it. Hope you guys enjoyed. I guess I'll see you guys in the next one, whenever that may be. I'm not gonna lie and say that the next one's gonna be in a few days, or even a week, or even a month, or even next year, or even in a year. But I guess when I feel like I need to make a new episode, or when I get more ideas for this series, or when I make another edit, I will come back and you guys can enjoy another episode. Anyways, I'll see you guys in the next one. Just peace.